Hey, good morning from Kentucky. It's pretty cloudy out, but it's okay. It's a little bit humid, giving some chances of rain. Today is officially the last day of school here in our county, but guess who didn't even go? Because, hey, she can't waste her time sitting around doing nothing all day. So, anyway, tomorrow night is graduation. We're just gonna have to go and do what we can. They were going to have it outside, but now they're giving chances of rain, so they're staying inside. So pray for me that I can get through this graduation without crying. I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. You know what? Life changes in every phase of our ages, in our teenagers, in our 20s, 30s, and 40s, and it's hard to grow up. Because if you are used to a good, stable home with your mom and dad, and they've always taken care of you, giving you money, done this and done that, and then you're getting ready to face the big world, is that not a humongous change in your life? It was like the other day when we were talking about selling the horses, and my girl was crying, oh, they're my horses, they're mine. You know, of course, we've spent all the money on them and feeding them and taking care and putting up about a $2,000 or $3,000 fence to keep them in when they were getting out. But I told her, and we've got to remember this, life is changing. You're not a little girl anymore. You're getting ready to become an adult and to look to your future. You can't look back. You know, those horses have been such a joy for her during the times when she wasn't driving. She was home a lot. She would go to the barn and spend hours at a time. It's been such a good, healthy relationship with those horses and learned so many things. I mean, going down there and scooping the poop up and cleaning their stalls, putting down straw, just, you know, so many good lessons learned. But life changes, and we've got to be ready for it. And just like as far as she's getting ready to change her life, look at us seniors, how we change lives through periods of our life. Like right now, my husband is sick with cancer, and I know that I could lose him any day. But you know what? He could lose me any day because we're not promised another day. But if something happens to him, which naturally with what he's got, he's not going to be around very much longer, I'm going to have to adapt to that. So throughout our whole lives, we have things that we have to adapt to. And it's just a part of growth. It's a part of making us strong. That if we, I've done talked about that. You women that are so dependent on your husbands to pay the bills, you're lucky if you're spoiled, but I'm not. So anyway, I'm not talking about that again today. Hey, do you remember all those eggs I had? If you're watching this for the first time, my brother-in-law has a few chickens, and this must be the really laying season, because he would bring over like 2 dozen of eggs. And then one day he gave another brother-in-law like 2.5 dozen. Well, that brother-in-law didn't eat them, so he brought them to me, and I ended up with close to 6 dozen of eggs. Who in the world can eat 6 dozen of eggs? Well, the other day I asked my husband, I said, I've still got about 2 dozen of eggs. Now, I mean, that's been weeks ago. Do you think these are still good? I don't really, I mean, I've got to the point that I don't really eat eggs that often, just like an egg. I might, I use it in different dishes. But he said, oh, I think they'd be all right. And I thought, now that sounds just like something he'd say. So, of course, I get on the internet, like Grandma Lois, she gets on the internet and asks everything. And I said, how can you tell if eggs are any good or not? Now, most of you probably already know this, but I've never had such a big accumulation of eggs that I even had to ask the internet. And it said to get a bowl of water, I put like 5 eggs at a time in this bowl. And if they float to the top, they're not any good. If they stay at the bottom, they're good. Now, even some of them said if they turn a certain direction at the bottom, they might need to be used up pretty quickly. But I had a dozen and a half that I checked, and one of them floated to the top. So guess what I did? I threw that baby in the garbage. I didn't even crack it because I believe the internet. I believe what he said. He, she, whoever it is. So I just threw it away. So now I have got still probably over a dozen and a half, close to 2 dozen eggs. So I'll test them about once a week and see if they're any good. But if you didn't know to do that and you've got some stored up, give it a try and see what you find out. Now, you know, as soon as school's out, there's something else with these teenagers. Our county fair starts Saturday night. And that is just the highlight, you know, of around here. There's nothing to do. I'm telling you, we had a theater, and I don't even think it's open now. I don't know because people quit going. There's absolutely no entertainment for kids around here. So if all the girls get pregnant, it's just because there's nothing else to do. And I hope that doesn't happen. But do you live in a place like that? There's nothing to do. Okay. I was thinking back. I may have told you this before, but I'm going to tell you again. I'm at my little house here in town. And right next door is where I was raised, the house next door. Well, we had an older house and then had a newer house. But in the backyard, between Main Street and the backyard that goes back about a half an acre, then there's another road that runs parallel. But there's just like 2 bunches of houses between those 2 roads. And when I was a kid, it was the stockyards over there, which is also the fairgrounds. But that, you know, I was raised up listening to cows bawling, because, you know, when people take their cattle to the market to sell, they're probably weaning them or separating them from their mama or their daddy or their friends in the field, and they're bawling. And I was raised up, just, you know, that was just a normal sound for us to hear those cows bawling and to smell the cow poop, which I kind of like the cow poop smell. Have you ever smelled it? It's not a bad smell. Now, pig smell is a different smell, but we won't get into smells today. That's the way I was raised, listening to that stockyards, listening to the cows, smelling the cow poop. And I just accepted it. Sometimes kids would come to my house and say, "How can you stand that smell?" And I'd think, "What smell? I couldn't even smell it." So anyway, the fairgrounds, the carnival would set up just to the left of the stockyards. And I could walk through the backyard and through another person's yard and cross that road, and right there was the fairgrounds. And I mean, we walked. When we were kids, we walked to the fairgrounds and stayed all day until it closed that night. Now, my parents never went to the fair. My dad was so religious, he wouldn't have walked in there if you'd have paid him $1 million. But I would go with friends, and my brother would go, not with me, but with his friends, and we'd stay all day. I don't know, probably didn't spend over $5, but it would last for a week, and we would go the whole week and stay till it shut down of a night and walk home. You know, nobody was worried about that. But today is a little different than that. Today, my girl loves the fair. And she's not like me. You know, I might ride the Ferris wheel, but I would always get sick on those wild rides, so I couldn't ride them, or I'd be dizzy all day long. She loved, the wilder the better. She loves these. When we went to Disney, the roller coasters, all those wild rides, she likes. So I used to bring her over to the carnival of a night, or, you know, maybe 6 o'clock, drop her off, and pick her up about 10. And I've never really felt safe doing that. But now that she's driving, she does it herself. So here we've been getting ready for this graduation, this high school graduation. and it's all this has been up in the air. Then now next week is going to be the fair. But since many years, they have torn down that stockyards and built a new one, which is not close to this area. So no more listening to cows bawling, no more smelling cow poop. But it was a good memory. So anyway, we're getting ready for that fair. Oh, she's so excited. She just can't wait to go. But I can sure wait, let me tell you. I have no interest in it whatsoever. I didn't really make a big plan today for this video, but I thought I should make one because I wasn't for sure I would get to do that tomorrow. And I've just been so excited at Grandma Lois. Do you know that old me, living better, Mike, if you've not watched him, you should watch him. He's 81, I think. And he's had a YouTube channel for about a year. And then Grandma Lois has had a YouTube channel for about a year, I think. And people love her. If you have not watched her, watch her. It's Lois Baird, Baird Rice, Rice. She gets on there about every day and just sits down and say, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And she'll talk 30 minutes. I mean, I think she'd talk all day if I don't know, her husband knocks at the door and I guess tells her to get out of that room and get in there with him. But old me living better shouted her out the other day as he named 3 channels that he thought you should watch, and she was one of them. And I thought, I know a celebrity, and I've even got her autograph because she wrote me a letter one time. So I'm feeling really important. And I'm just so tickled. And she's just such an example to follow. So if you all have not watched her, which I think a lot of you have come over from watching her to watching me, but she is precious, and it's just so much fun to watch her. And she's got endless stories that are just so interesting. Hey, yes, I do. I've got a funny story right here. And then I'm going to get off here because I've got to go to the grocery. And then I've got to find something to eat. That is the problem. I'm telling you what, every day I hate cooking more and more. And it just almost makes me mad. Hey, a good thing is, right now, my husband is on eating honey buns for breakfast. And you know they're not good for you. But I could eat sweets for all 3 meals. They're just about that big. They're not very big. It's those little Debbie ones. And I'll make him 2 of them. I'll put them in a plate and warm them up. I was warming them up for 20 seconds. And then yesterday he said, could you warm them up just a little longer? So I warmed them up to 25 seconds. And that makes them nice and hot. Let me tell you this one little thing before I read this funny story. He doesn't brag on anything I fix to eat, which probably nobody would. But, I'll say, how's such and such when he's eating a meal or something if I've cooked something? Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Well, I know that numerous times, especially since he's been sick, that I have said, would you eat some French toast for breakfast? He'll say, no, I don't like French toast. Now, he likes pancakes every once in a while. So I bought a big loaf of that French bread like at Kroger the other day that's not sliced, and I sliced it up, and I thought, I'm going to make me some French toast. And then what I do is I make like 4 pieces, and then I might eat 2 of them, and then I'll put 2 in the refrigerator, and the next morning I'll warm them up. Even if they're thin enough, I'll put them in the toaster. Well, my little friend, that's the lady that was taking care of her, I was going to go up there, and I thought, I'm going to take her some of this French toast because it won't be eat. So I ate me 2 pieces. Hey, I used 2 of those eggs, but they were good because I checked them. I fixed 4 pieces. No, in fact, I fixed 5 pieces. And I ate 2, and I put 3 in a little plastic bag and took to her. Well, later up in the morning, I said to my husband, "What would you like for breakfast?" He said, "Well, I'll just eat some of that. What you have, French toast over there?" And I said, "Yes, but you don't like French toast." And he said, "Oh, yeah, he'd eat some." So I had to go in there and make more. I didn't like it, but he ate it. But he didn't say it was good. I just don't like to cook. I'm telling you, I don't like to cook. If I never had to cook another meal, I would be happy as a lark, because it was like I told somebody the other day, for lunch I had Doritos and cottage cheese, and I dipped those Doritos in them and ate them. Really good, except I can't taste, but I kind of like the texture. Then I ate 2 cookies that were like little sandwich cookies, and they're just like shortbread with chocolate in the middle of them, and I scraped the chocolate out and dipped the cookie part in milk and ate 2 of them. Very nutritional lunch. So, but him, I forgot what he ate that day, but I think I might have brought him something from Jack's or 5 Star. Here's a funny story. An old-fashioned lady wrote a letter to a campground to ask about the facilities before booking a camping spot. She didn't quite know how to ask if there were bathrooms on site or if they had to use the ones in their RV. Nor could she bring herself to write the word toilet in her letter. After much deliberation, she wrote down bathroom commode, then thought she was still being too direct for a polite letter, so she simply wrote, "Does the campground have its own BC?" The campground owner simply couldn't figure out what the woman was talking about. The BC reference really stumped him. Hoping someone would know, he showed the letter to several campers, but they were just as confused, although one woman commented that she might be referring to the Baptist church just up the road, since it was holding a number of summer activities. Since that was his only lead, he sat down and wrote the following reply. "Dear Madam, I am pleased to inform you that a BC is located 9 miles north of the campground and is capable of seating 250 people at one time. I admit it is quite a distance away. If you are in the habit of going regularly, which no doubt you will be pleased to know that a great number of people take their lunches along and make a day of it. They usually arrive early and stay late. It's such a beautiful facility, and the acoustics are marvelous. Even the normal delivery sounds can be heard. The last time my wife and I went, it was so crowded, we had to stand up the whole time we were there. It may interest you to know that a supper is planned to raise money to buy more seats. If you do decide to come down to our campground, there are a few people here who would be delighted to go with you the first time, sit with you, and introduce you to all the folks. Remember, this is a friendly community. Sincerely, the campground owner." I hope you could understand that with me laughing. I can't help it. Hey, it's going to be a beautiful day. The sun is not going to shine, but we're just going to go on about our rat killing. And I'm going to the grocery and get a few things and go home and see what's going on down there. So, hey, be nice to people and be happy and live up to your responsibilities. And if you're married, be nice to your spouse. There's no sense in being hateful, miserable. So give him or her a little smile or a little hug, and it'll just make the world a better place. And I will see you probably the first of the week. So you all have a great weekend. And and then I'm going to be whining about the fair going on. So I will see you soon. Bye-bye.